Tom. I'm the author of the software that runs Spinitron.com. I look after the server, so I do the technical stuff here. And this presentation is intended for station managers and anybody who's going to help you with web at your station, and that includes anybody that may be just offering an opinion, sort of reviewing your work or providing ideas. So it is technical, but it's the kind of technical that I think a station manager should be able to deal with on the whole. And don't worry if you're glossing over some part of it. As we said already, this is going to be recorded. I'm going to put the recording on YouTube. You're also going to get a copy of the script that I'm using to try and keep myself on time, which has got a lot of details built into it. You'll see the script as we go along and do the screen sharing. So there should be plenty of opportunities to review stuff that was complicated. And as I said, if you gloss over some parts here, it's quite possible that you don't need to know those details because they're fine-grained technical details that you're not going to handle. So let's start with the screen sharing. And I hope my screen is now visible or becoming visible to y'all. Ava's sitting beside me so I can look at that stuff there. Great. Okay, so in Spinitron, we've got this whole problem of web integration. What that means is we want the dynamic content that's in Spinitron's database to be visible on your website. That's what web integration is. So you get live playlists and all that nice stuff. So I need to do a bit of navigation here to demonstrate this. So here is a web page, KCBS web page. They've one of the first to really do a good job with the iframe integration. So I chose them as an example. They also have a widget. So these are the first two and important kinds of web integration that we have at the moment. We have widgets, and JavaScript widgets, as we call them, and iframe or iframe widgets. So the JavaScript widget is interesting because it the page loads with a little bit of JavaScript on it, loads into the browser, and then when that JavaScript runs, the browser fetches from Spinitron a little chunk of HTML, just a few lines of HTML, and pastes them into the page up there. And that's how live content is put onto the page. That works great as far as it goes. The trouble is with navigation. If you were to click a link in something up here, then you'd end up on another page somewhere. And if it's a Spinitron page, then it's not going to have all this nice graphics for the header. It's not going to have the footer with the navigation. It's not going to look like a KCBS web page. It's just not going to be great. So that's where the iframe has its advantages. So the iframe on this page is the part that scrolls. An iframe is a rectangle in the web page that we allocate for another web page to be put inside it. So basically what we got here is one big web page, which is kcbs.org, and then a rectangle that's carved out, and I'll scroll all the way down so you can see where the bottom is. And this whole and this chunk is replaced by a whole web page from Spinitron.com, and that's how iframes work. Oh yeah, over here, this is my notes, all right, and this is what you're going to get later. This is my script. All right, so let me make sure that I got everything. I need to follow my script. Iframes. So we can use custom styles. Oh, I got a little trick here. Have you all seen this? It's a Zoom thing. Apparently Zoom is full of tricks. Right. So one of the tricks here is we've changed the background color so that the color inside this iframe matches the color outside. So that also helps to make it look more seamless. Color matching, style matching, it's a big part of web integration. Go back to my mouse here. So we can apply custom styles to this, and we've been doing that stuff for a long time. We can navigate within Spinitron pages. That all works just fine. The problems are largely to do, two big problems. One of them is that the height of this rectangle is fixed. It can't adapt to the height of the content that goes into it. So you end up, if it's too long, you end up with a scroller here, and that's a scroller inside a scroller, and that's a bit ugly. And if the content is too short, then you'll have a big chunk of pink, some empty space there. So that's one problem. The other problem is that the navigation is fine so long as the navigation stays on a spinitron.com, because you remember we've applied styles on spinitron.com pages so that they fit this rectangle nicely and look good. But if we navigate to some other website from a link in here, it's going to look weird. And I can give you a demo of this. So let's say, for example, that this, just hypothetically, that this playlist has got in its episode description, let's say down there, it's got a link. You're allowed to put links into descriptions. So it's got a link to the web page that announced this program. So let's imagine that this is the web page that announced this radio show. So I just chose a random page, well, approximately a random page on KCSB's website. So let's say that they pre-announced a special radio show, and that this is the web page. So this is the web page with a playlist for it. Now, so there's a link in there. Now, I can actually demonstrate exactly what that would be like. So we link through to this page from the iframe, and you end up with this effect. No, not that effect. Go back one. You end up with that, right? So this is what navigating inside an iframe is like. You get these problems, and like I just demonstrated there, if you were to navigate from there to the schedule, then you get double iframe action going on, which is sort of fun if you're into that sort of thing. But I think most people don't want to deal with this. Okay, so those are the limits for the iframes. You've got that fixed size to it, and you've got this problem of the navigation's fine so long as you stay on Spinitron inside the iframe. So what can we do about this? Let's take a little detour into my first of the 3 principles. No, it might be 2. I'm not sure. CSS, cascading style sheets. CSS is a powerful medicine. You can do a lot with it. It's dangerous, but do the right stuff, you can do some sort of almost magic stuff. And I wanted to show you this ancient website that's been around since the dawn of time, as far as I remember. The CSS Zen Garden is a website where one web page is used in terms of its HTML. One HTML page is used with hundreds of different CSS style sheets that were crowdsourced. So we can look through some of these. Maybe the back button is going to work. That's the same web page as the one we just saw with a different style sheet. Okay. And there's another one. Same web page, different style sheet. This just to try and show you the power of this medicine. Steel, there's another one. You can get really pretty fancy. It's impressive what can be accomplished with just CSS, and that's what this website is kind of all about. So moving on, I'm going to move on to the first of my magic shows. See if I can get this right. So I've chosen, I wonder if I can get rid of this. Oh, that's right. I'm just going to put it down here, right? So there's some stuff that I can move around just to make my screen a little less untidy. So here's WXOX. Their website is called artxfm.com, and it's beautiful. I love this website. They've got a calendar page over here on the schedule, but I've done a mock-up of this using a custom layout, and it looks like this. If you were to navigate to the schedule here, you would end up with this page. There's an iframe, all right? Iframes are great as far as they go, but they've got this scrolling stuff going on. And we could change the styles on this page to make it whatever, you know. I've done it a little bit differently, and here's the mock-up that I did. And we can come back to this later, but I just wanted to show this is my magic trick. This is in fact a spinitron.com page. You see that in the navigation bar? That's spinitron.com. If I change this query parameter, so the question mark things in the URL, if I change layout to 0 or just get rid of it, then I've got a regular plain vanilla Spinitron.com page. There's my calendar. I can navigate around in the usual ways. Can go to the show page. I can go to a particular playlist, or I can go back to the calendar. Then I change layout equals 1. That activates the custom layout that I've saved in Spinitron, which replaces the Spinitron plain vanilla layout with WXOX. So I've got this, I've got the sort of logo identifiers, the decoration article. They've got the navigation links and a little bit of footer going on there. And a chunk of this page has been cut out and replaced with Spinitron.com content. And I can navigate around in here just like I did before. Okay. And I can navigate to an ArtFM page, right? Now I'm on the real WXOX. How's that pronounced? Wet socks, right? And so now I'm on the real. They don't have a link to Spinitron.com that looks like the one that we need. So I'm just going to use my back button to get back. But that's what navigating around would be like. It's reasonably. Oh yeah, and the archive works too. In fact, I had a little bit of fun with the archive. Let's choose 3:30. I wonder if that's going to work. No, that's not going to work. Let's try 2 p.m. So just for fun, I put animated disco lighting on the display here, just to show you can have fun with CSS. It's not just coding, all right? All right, so ArtFXM. So that's how that looks when we've applied a custom layout, which we copied off of WXOS website, and a style sheet. We can navigate to elsewhere as well. These navigation links all work the way they should. I'm going to demonstrate with the PayPal page. There we go. What? You want to interrupt? So I'm just demonstrating navigation. Go ahead.
Excuse me, but can you navigate away from the arc player, or can you navigate to a different page and still hear the arc player?
No.
That's a problem.
It is. Yeah, I know. It's something that's on my to-do list, and it basically, the problem is that if this is a web player, it's just a an audio element on the page that's controlled with these controls. And if you navigate to a different page that doesn't have that element on it, it's unloaded and it's gone. So the way we have to fix this to get around it, if you want to navigate around between your pages and our pages and have all that stuff work nicely, is that we need to turn the website into what's called a single page app. And that means that the different parts of the web page are loaded by JavaScript, not by loading entire web pages. See what I'm saying? Right. That needs to be done, and hasn't been done yet. Yeah, I agree. It's a problem. But the reason it hasn't been fixed is because it's a lot of work. We'd have done that a while ago, I promise, if it wasn't so much work. It's also going to make web integration more complicated because your website needs to turn into a single page app as well. That is, in fact, something that you could do in your website, and then an iframe would have the advantage. If you stick with an iframe and the player is on your page, not on one of our pages, then you can navigate around it. So again, it's not ideal, but it would at least have that advantage. I should move on. So we can navigate to other sites. Navigation now can be made to be seamless and to work in exactly the way that people are used to with web navigation. So I want to show you now what this looks like. I need a demo, but just ignore that part. And then we navigate to station settings, web customization. Okay, this page has been around since forever, but sometime in, I think it was 2019, we added this feature based on requests from Ohm Radio. Start with WOHM, Ohm Radio. And they gave me the idea for this, and that's how that developed. Anyway, this is WXOX, and this is what the style sheet looks like. This is the thing that I rustled up for this demo. So it's really just hacking, and you'll see that in more detail as we move through the examples. Next example, I'm going to pull up another browser window that I prepared earlier, and I'm looking for the WPR. So Wisconsin Public Radio are trialing Spinitron at the moment. Thank you to them for that. And this is just a quick example to demonstrate the principle with just another example. We're not going to work through this one in detail. Here's a Spinitron web page that I styled so that it would look similar. I copy pasted, their HTML, some HTML that I stole from that website. Took a chunk out of it, threw that away, and put Spinitron in there. And then I set up some styles so that to reformat things so that it looks nice. This is the page. No, I think I need to make that a bit bigger. Okay, can you see better now? One click bigger. Right, there we go. Right, so here's the web page that I copied. I need to zoom things big so that you can see them in your smaller screens. Here's the web page that I used as the basis for the custom layout design for the station. But I didn't actually use that station in Spinitron. I used our demo station called test. So we have this demo web. It's not live, but we need something for demos. And this is a show page for test that I've applied the style sheet to. And I don't know why that's on the billing page. We can go to web customization here. This is WXOX. I need to switch accounts there again, but I would put some styles in there, some layout in here, and with I don't know, half an hour of hacking or something, I can produce something that looks a lot less like Spinitron and a lot more like Wisconsin Public Radio's website. Okay. Next step. Let's get into the tutorial part where I actually show how to do this, okay? Here we go. Let's make this one bigger as well. Here I've got a radically simplified web page or website that shows a layout and content, and so you can see the stuff. I'm going to also introduce at this point browser developer tools. I'm using Firefox, and the way I activate it, there are different ways to do this, but one of them is I right-click, you get a context menu, and I choose Inspect. That could be Inspect Element or something like that in your browser. And this allows me to sort of look around in the HTML. The HTML has been sort of reformatted, so I can look at different chunks of it down here. You see how they're highlighting as I hover? Right? Neat trick that. DevTools is another powerful medicine. And so what have I got? I've got a body and a page container. That's something I need, right? I can't explain it, or at least, no, I can't explain it. I don't even know. I got a top navigation. You see that? That's that strip up here. If you can see my mouse pointer, but it's easier to do it like this. I've got a top navigation. Inside the top navigation, I've got these links. Only one of them is actually active at the moment. Two of them are active at the moment. There's this one. So those are highlighted. They get underlines. You don't get an underline if you don't actually fill in the href part. Okay, you'll know what href parts are. And if you don't, feel free to gloss over this part and delegate. Right, you're all managers. If you don't know how this works, you either don't know your job or you're a manager. All right, and if you're a manager, that's fine. You just gloss over it and get somebody else to do it. Here's the middle part of the page, in which we've got a left navigation panel and the content. That's where the Spinitron contents is going to go. At the moment, it's just a bunch of lorem ipsum. Then I've got down here, I've got a footer navigation, and that's got some more links in it. Okay? And the source code for this, sorry, I did that too quickly. I'll do that again with a context menu. Context menu, view page source, which is another feature that all browsers have got. Very useful thing. View the page source. That's the HTML for this web page. Nice and simple. This chunk in here is what we want to replace. This is what it looks like when I change this part here, not the middle. Yeah, no, not the left nav, the stuff inside content. When I change that and put in a special marker, which is what we use to say, paste the Spinitron content here. That's what it looks like if I take this page and I remove the lorem ipsum and put in our special marker, okay? And I look at the page source for this, same kind of deal. You can see the difference quite clearly, right? So this is what goes into the layout box in Spinitron. Now I need to make sure that I'm on the right station. I am. So I got to demonstrate stuff here. You know what? I skipped over a page, didn't I? I skipped over test radio. We'll come back to that. That's all right. I'm on this page now. So I didn't follow my script. Sorry. So I'll start out here and demonstrate actually doing that. I'll do it the way I would do it properly. So I'll take this page source, paste that into the layout, cut that part out, yeah, sort of like that. And I'm improvising here, so if this doesn't work, it's all my fault, all right? Well, I hope you can type better with holding the shift key down, all right? She laughs at me. No, that wasn't what I wanted. I want to save changes. Press the wrong button.
So you're grabbing content from somebody's website and putting it on the Spinitron
Exactly.
layout.
That's exactly what I did.
Okay.
Oh, I've just done WXOX. I just ruined that demo. That's all right. I've got it saved somewhere else. I'll just get rid of that. I need to do this on test. Sorry, this is the confusing part that I had hoped I'd be able to hide from you, and I failed. Right? I'm not that good. I'm going to hide this now because we don't need that anymore. All right. So here we are on the Spinitron.com for test. This is our demo. This is what it looks like when you log into test radio on Spinitron. So we'll go to station settings, web customization again, get rid of that, and we'll do it properly. All right. So I'm going to copy paste it because I said I had it saved somewhere. Test radio HTML, select all, copy into there, paste. Save a changes. Let's see if that looks all right. No, it does not. That is Spinitron.com test. See, I'm doing live demos here. I chose test radio. It's the wrong one. I needed to choose this one. That's it. See, that's much smaller. That's the one that I was supposed to be using. Just to review real quick. Sorry to confuse you about that. I screwed up again. Actually, that's not what I need. I need programs.html. So this is that code again. I tried to improvise to show you the actual process and just ended up confusing everyone. I'm sorry. Save changes. So I've stolen, like we just described, I've stolen this page's HTML, copy pasted it into Spinitron, and replaced a part of it, the part that I don't want to replace, with the Spinitron content. So let's take a look. Good. Make that a little bit smaller. Okay. So that is what that page looks like when I've got it. So this is now a Spinitron website using the custom layout, this custom layout, which I derived from the original website. I can navigate to the original website, and I can navigate back to programs here because I've carefully already set up that link in the origin website for this demo. Just so that's the first time we can see seamless back and forth navigation between these sites. But it's still spinitron.com/test with layout set to 1. If I set that to 0, just to remind you, I've got a regular Spinitron public web page, landing page. Sorry, that's the calendar page. And if I go there, there's the landing page. These should be fairly familiar. And there it is with the custom layout as opposed to Spinitron layout. Okay, back to my script because I'm lost. Right, so I'm going to demonstrate what hacking the CSS is like as the next step here. I'll use the developer tools. Now I'll see if I can make that bigger as well. How does that look? Good enough? Yeah. One more? Yeah. All right. So over here, I can feel free to gloss over this part if you want. I'm going to inspect this page because I've got a couple of things I want to do. First of all, I want to change the color of this block because you see I've got a sort of pale gray here and I've got a darker gray, and it would be nice to have a different color than white. Maybe I could match those grays or something. But basically I can inspect, and then I'm looking for inside the middle, inside the content. See how we got these little markers there in green? This is the Spinitron content. The rest of it outside of the green is all in the page layout. Okay? So these parts are saved in the page layout. That's this text right there, or this code, I guess you call it. And this stuff in the middle, that's been generated by Spinitron on the fly, and that's what we need to apply the styles to. So how are we doing for time? Good. We're going to look in there, and we've got the different parts of the page. Now, this is, if this were a real radio station's website, then I would have a way to listen to your live stream already somewhere in the page layout, because that would be something that you would want to have on multiple pages, right? So I don't need that part. I don't need a player. And I don't need the station identification here. That's just that you've already got that stuff. You should also have a link to the programming, and if you don't, you can put one in as part of this work. That's no big deal, right? So at this point, I want to get rid of this chunk of heading stuff up here. That chunk, in fact. That's the part that's got station title, a slogan, station description, in this case the live stream player is inside. That's not a standard part of Spinitron, but you can put a live stream link in there like that. But we don't need that, as I said, because you should have that already on your website. So let's get rid of that. What would it look like if I get rid of that? Well, I can try that right here by modifying the styles directly in the web browser. In fact, I can just change that line here to not display flex, but to display none. That's how we hide stuff. Just remove that block from being rendered at all in the page, or displayed at all in the page. So that gets rid of that. So that change I can put into the custom style sheet in Spinitron. In fact, I can copy paste. Copy, paste. I need to finish up. What's that? Yeah, I'll come to that in just a second. Okay, so now I just did a page reload. Let's see if there's a button for that one. Yeah, there we go. Right, page reload. So now I've got the display none actually in the page that's coming out of Spinitron because I saved that style rule in Spinitron. There it is. Now, detail that Ava was just reminding me about was that style rules on the page will apply. They can apply to anything depending on how you write your selectors. Now, there is a chance that there's something else on the page that will be selected by this style rule. Don't want to get too much into explaining CSS to you because there are better resources than that on the web. But basically, if we precede a dot, we take a name, like something, and we put a dot in front of that, then that selects elements on the page which have got that class name. Right? That's a class name, something. And oh, there we go. So you see how these tags have got classes on them. That's a common way of identifying parts of your web page to the style sheet. So in this case, I'm using class head. I could use both of these classes, and I probably should. So why don't we make that little change? Class head dot station. This is a selector, again, not getting into too much into the tutorial here. Dot head dot station without a space in there selects class anything that's got both of those classes. These in the HTML like this is a list. I could continue on here with more classes, you know, and they're space separated. Okay. So this will select, and if my rule is written like this, then it's going to select any item on the page that's got the class head. Now, it's quite possible that something in the page layout has got that. And you can have collisions. So it's just a good practice to do some trick to make sure that doesn't happen. And that's what these extra bits are for. So what this means is that if there's a space in the style sheet, spaces are different and dots are different in the style sheet and the HTML. The spaces refer to ancestors in this hierarchy of nested elements. So here's the div that I'm trying to select. And here's an ancestor of it. It's actually the parent in this case. Is an element that's called view page. And I've got in the layout itself, outside of the content from Spinitron, I've got a class called content, and I'm using that also as an ancestor. So the rule that I wrote is going to require some element is going to match some element on the page with class content, inside of which there's an element that's got the class view page, inside of which is an element that's got both the class head and the class station. That's definitely getting into coder kind of nerdery, but it's an important trick for when you actually get to doing the coding. If you need to disambiguate the rules, what we're doing here is a kind of avoiding collisions in the names of classes. Right? If that went over your head, don't worry about it. We can deal with these things later. We're here to support you through this process, of course. So let me do another one just to try to solidify that idea. What I want to do, hide the stage. Oh, I was going to change the color background. I just didn't copy that over. I did the color, right? I didn't do color? I got to do color. So let's change the color. Inspect this page again. So there's my middle and the content. And I'm going to change the color, the background color of the view page. I didn't do that? You sure? Right, fine. All right, so view page is what I'm going to apply this to, and I can just change background, right? I'm just using tab completion like we do in Spinitron to speed things up, and then I can choose a color, right? Have you ever done this in your browser? It's fun. Really, it's fun, I promise. And you can learn the names of colors this way. That's cornflower blue, and that's coral. Right, shall we go with coral? No.
Yes.
Yes? Coral, fine. So I'm going to copy this bit here over to my style sheet, put that in there somewhere, but I need a selector for it. I could copy that selector, but then I don't have the extra gumph, you know, the extra stuff, the content thing or whatever it is to deselect it. So I'm actually going to copy it from up here. I need to apply it to the view page, not the head station head inside the view page. Go like that, save changes. And if I'm lucky, I can relay. I'm not lucky. What did I do wrong? Let's see if I can debug this real quick. Something. Thank you. Let me just take my cheat sheet. Thank you, whoever that was. Identify yourself. Say your name while I'm doing this.
Hi, I'm Cody.
Hi, Cody. Thanks for that. There. Isn't that beautiful? No, it's not. That's not actually what I wanted. I needed this to be coral colored as well. And if you want to go, and that's an exercise for the student. You can go and fix that. Actually, the answer is you have to make that change in the layout, not in the content of the page. Anyway, so there's a couple of little changes. And seriously, this is exactly what doing any of these examples is like. I go and grab some HTML from the page source of the page that I want to copy and put that into my text editor. Then I replace a chunk of it with Spinitron content. That's a little marker. And then I've got a page, right? That's what these pages without the style sheet there are like. Save changes. And then I start hacking the style sheet. And I'm literally hacking the style sheet in the browser just by using these tools here. And then once I'm satisfied with a change, don't have to do it all at once. I can copy, I can set up the style rule in here. I would recommend doing this also with a text editor, like over here. Where is it? There's my style sheet there. Actually, that's not, no, that's confusing. I'm sorry. That's the style sheet for the page, for that page, right? That's the style sheet that sets up the layout itself, that positions these and colors them and makes sure that these are vertically oriented and all that stuff. But I would recommend then doing this actual hacking work, not directly using Spinitron as your editor. I would recommend using a, can you read that for me?
Is any inspector programmable, like Chrome, Vue, developer source? I don't think the inspectors are programmable.
I don't know. In fact, I don't understand the question. Yeah, there might be something like that in Chrome. I don't use Google Chrome. I use Firefox, but let's do that real quick. All right, Chrome. I've got it here somewhere. It's on my other screen. Yeah, I'm so anti-Google. I've got Bing as my default. Not that Microsoft is necessarily all that holy. It's just they're less terrifying at the moment. And so in here, I think we have to go into more tools in the menu. So we got this. Oh, what happened? There we go. Right. We've got a dot menu thing here. They really hide menus these days. It's just the fashion at the moment, I guess. More tools. And in here, can you see this, Ava? Yes, it's showing. Good. A clear browsing data, extensions, developer tools. All right. And I could teach myself Control-Shift-I. That will be Command-Shift-I probably on a Mac. All right. And there I've got this. That's developer tools. It's open on the network, but I want to look at the elements. And there's probably a thing for inspecting. Inspect. See that? It's the same menu item in Chrome, right? And if you use Safari or Bing, it's all similar. It's a bit different. Pick one and it's a skill worth developing. Is developer tools. Developer tools is another potent medicine to be used whenever you feel like it, to be honest. Okay, so that's Chrome, and if you want, maybe this time, like at the end, we can look at another browser. Okay, moving on. Back to my script. So there's my simplest examples, and I talked about ancestors, more and less specific selectors, and I talked about the collisions, the potential for collisions. Now, you might not need to worry about this stuff. That happens when something that you want to put into your style sheet in Spinitron affects something else, right? And that something else could, in fact, be a Spinitron page, because this is maybe something I forgot to mention, because if I'm not using the custom layout, The custom layout is turned on and off by adding layout equals 1 in the URL. And you would include that in the link when you're ready with the whole design, you put that in your link to Spinitron, to the calendar or the landing page, whichever it is you want. You have layout equals 1. So that turns it on. But if we turn it off, we're not using the custom layout now. We're using the default Spinitron layout. The style rules that we put in here are going to affect that page as well. Okay? And anything you put on it. So that's another reason why you need these disambiguation effects. Because if we change these, let me just demonstrate. I think we've got enough time. If I put in this rule, head display none, save that. What am I doing wrong? Well, it's probably just not specific enough. View page. Let's try adding view page. And here's a hack every CSS hacker knows. Bang important. That says ignore the specificity rules. This one's the most important. It's a beautiful little hack. All right. So that's what. So now, even without the layout involved, this is just a regular. See that URL? It's just a regular spinitron.com landing page for a station. That test could be any of your stations. And now we've got a page that doesn't say what it is. The header part has been left out, and that happened because I inserted I saved a rule that says to hide it. But if I put that extra ancestor thing in here, this is such an important point. That's why I'm belaboring it. What was it I was going to use? I look up in here, content. Right. I want to use the class content. Dots are for class names, and a space says that this needs to be an ancestor of the rest of it. Save changes. Now, that rule is not applying to a regular Spinitron page because it doesn't have a content. It doesn't have that tag on it. What does it have? Let's show you. Inspect. Right, here's the head. Here's the view page. And then I got a main thing. It's got main wrapper and clear fix. I don't know. Exactly. That's why that rule doesn't work. I don't have layout equals 1. I don't have a content tag. And so that rule is not screwing up with this page anymore. Put the layout equals 1 back in, and the header part has disappeared. If I do an inspect again, inspect, content, you see? The stuff outside of the Spinitron content, the stuff outside of that has changed because I'm using a different page layout. That's what page layouts are. All right, let's move on. So that's the tutorial part. I wanted to put a note in here about tools, just to summarize. This is an interlude, all right? I've got 15 minutes left, need to hurry. So you need a text editor. I'm using something called Visual Studio Code. It's a free product from Microsoft. It's very complicated, so it takes some learning. If you want to use a simpler thing, that'll be fine. There's nothing wrong with Notepad. There's nothing wrong with text editor. They will do the job perfectly well. If you want the sort of like the Lego coloring that code editors do and other tricks that they do, then you'll need to learn something more complicated. Do a web search for web. If you want to learn CSS, and I recommend everybody learn at least a little bit so that you can get a flavor of the power of this medicine. Go and find a tutorial. I'm not going to put one link in there. I can't find a good one for you. I already know this stuff, so it's hard to know what it's like for a beginner. Learn your browser dev tools. I've already mentioned that. A couple of other things you can look at here for yourself is this entire presentation, including all the code I'm using, is up on GitHub. So if you know GitHub and you know how to use it, this is also where we're serving the web pages from. For this demo page here, right? This demo page, that's actually a GitHub page. So it's just a handy tool for serving static web pages. Couple of other things that I put in the links is a thing called CodePen, which is really handy for experimenting with styles. And I like JS Fiddle better because you don't need to have a login. You don't have to create an account there. And there's even one example in there that you can go and play with, all right? These links are all here. You can find a copy of that afterwards. Email me or Ava if you want the link to this GitHub, which is where you'll find these notes, okay?
Yeah, Bruce just texted a good one.
W3 schools, yes. Yes, I'll put that in. I'll copy paste that in. I need to hurry. So moving on, tools. That's the tools interlude. I'm going to do a full example for you real quick. We're using KXCI. It's down here somewhere. Here it is. Right. Here's KXCI's webpage, homepage. And I have navigated to and already selected that I'm just going to take the programs page, which is the first link down the side here. And I'm going to do the hack using this page. So what I do, I do page source. So we're looking at the page source, copy paste that into my editor. Now I've already done this before, so I'm just going to use these. So just trust me, I copy pasted into an editor, into a file named KXCI original.html. I copy pasted that. Then using the inspector, I went down to try and find something on this page that I'm going to replace. And somewhere down here it was. There's my button, and then I can go a little bit lower. Content. There we are. You see that? Let's make that bigger so you can see. All right. I found a div on the page which has got content in it, and inside of that div is a div with the class name gridblock. So I search for that over here. Just search for gridblock, and I found it. Okay. And it's inside of content. See that? So that's probably what we were looking for. And inside of there is card filters. So yeah, okay, I found it in my text editor that's got the HTML in it. So then select that chunk because I want to get rid of gridblock and replace that with Spinitron content. But actually what I do is I copy that into a new file, which is the one that I'm going to work on. This is my original and I'm not going to change it. Okay, so I took a copy of it so that I can compare the two later to see exactly what had changed. It's quite a useful trick. So take that chunk that was in there. That was the chunk called gridblock. Remove all of that. I've just got a trick for selecting that stuff. Looks like that. That's my trick in this text editor. KXCI. I put my Spinitron content tag in there. So I select that. We go to web customization. I'm already on KXCI. Let's just check that I really am. No, I'm not. Ha! See? I do need to do that. So over there and go to web customization. So I'm going to get rid of that and copy paste that version of that page with Spinitron content, the cutout and the Spinitron content tag, right? Save changes. Okay. So now let's go and look at KXCI. Right, so this is what it looks like when I haven't got any styles. How do I make that? Oh, there we go. God, it's so far to find things sometimes. All right, so I've got some problems to sort out. First one is I need to indent that content. And of course, I've done this in ahead of time, and I've got a rule for that. Let me just copy paste that rule. I'll just do one at a time to show you what they had. I've got Spinitron content. I actually did a little trick there that I glossed over, I'm afraid. In this page, in the page layout, I made one subtle change to the actual body itself. Inspect down here. I made one subtle change in the page layout that I copy pasted into Spinitron. I added this part. Okay, this is the disambiguation part, and it's important. So I now can use the Spinitron class, or the class Spinitron minus content. to disambiguate. Now we see that in the rule, Spinitron content right there. And then to the whole of that view page, we indent that 16 rems, as they're called. And that didn't work because I didn't save it. Reload. Okay, so we got the indent working. Next change, we're going to get rid of this KXCI header here because, you know, this is, let me, here we go. If we make this smaller and then reload that page, then we might get a bit more page layout. So we got this, it was switching to its, you know, its fluid thing, reactive, whatever it is. I can't remember the right words. Responsive, thank you. Something like that was going on, who knows? Anyway, so we've got the station identification already. We don't need this chunk. We already hit a block like this before on the tutorial part. All right, so we're just going to just save that change. And this is what the work is like. It really is just hacking. Just make a little change after a little change. And so if I go now to, let's see if I can find my way to the calendar. Sorry about this. I need to actually type this because we don't have a link because I just hid it. The Spinitron's navigation is inside that header. So this is what the calendar page looks like with this page layout and the style sheet I've got so far. And this is typical in WordPress, that they've got some style in the page, that some styles that screws up with selectors, you know, these drop downs. So let's make that look a little better. I've done this for a few stations already, and here's just another one. So I already knew how to do that. We just reset a couple of styles, save changes, reload the page. So that's that sorted out. Now these things are working reasonably well. I would prefer them to drop down, but yeah, like that. Don't know why that happens, but that's, again, you can fix all of this stuff. If it styles, you can fix it. And if you are having trouble, ask us and we'll make it work, even if that means that there's something that's not quite right in the Spinitron software itself that we need to fix. Okay.
Belated birthdays to Messiah Rhodes.
Oh, it's the high priestess herself. So that works. Next, I put this is just a little detail that I thought was a nice thing to have, but not especially important right here. I put a little bit of space and a horizontal divider. So the archive player is sitting above the page content. So now if we navigate to another page, well, that one doesn't have have an archive player on. If I choose a playlist, we should have an archive player. Then things are working. Now, here's a good example of a collision. Because that particular playlist had a okay, this playlist has got nothing on it and it's not disturbing anything. So I go to this playlist. I think that was the one I clicked on. Nope. This playlist has a chat box on it. All right. So, and that, because of that, then I get some extra styles out of Spinitron, and those are colliding with the page layout. So we need to do a little bit of work to fix that. I haven't done it yet. Okay, or you could do it, or whatever. But that's an example of an unfinished hack job. Okay, I'm going to look at my script. So we did all that, all right, and then one rule at a time. And I did switch personas, thankfully. We might need to skip over the example of WXOX. We already looked at that page, but I was just going to show you that's a bit more complex. Their web page uses older style HTML, but you can still make it work. There's nothing wrong with it. And we've got some advanced topics here that I don't have time to get into. These are very important, and you may need to learn about them. Or we can ask if there's time left over, if you want to hang around after, we don't have to shut down right at 5 o'clock Eastern. Absolute and relative URLs are an important topic that some of you are going to run into. We didn't really run into it with KXCI. Sorry, with KXCI. We do run into it very much so with WXOX, and there are tricks for this. If the layout itself has got relative URLs in it, then we either need to change those URLs in the layout or use a base tag or both. So there's that does work. That's documented. We've already got that up on the forum. That's part of what we did a long time ago. Another thing is that you might not like spinitron.com up here. You might want your own host name, and we can do that for you. What you do is you allocate a host name on a domain that you control, and we can set that up. Then if you do that, there's some extra work we need to do with respect to SSL, HTTPS, secure HTTPS. Both of these things are a pain in the neck, but you only have to do it once. It's just configuration stuff. We actually discourage it because I don't want to have to do the work, because it's all manual labor for me. But if you want to do it, we can do it. Actually charge a little extra money for that. I think we did. Not sure if we ever did, but anyway, doesn't matter. That's the end of the material for this presentation, and I left you exactly 2 minutes for questions. Sorry.
So you can ask directly if you prefer, or type it in.
Yeah,
the recording will be available as soon as we kind of make sure that it's fine. It's properly recorded, and volume control and all that stuff is done. But please feel free to ask questions. We are not in a hurry to drop out from the presentation. So if you have the time, you can, we are more than happy to follow up with anyone who wants to contact me or Tom directly and give you another demo or more detailed help. We welcome any questions. And if you have something you want to share now or want to relate to the presentation, by all means, please go ahead.
Yes, to be absolutely clear, apart from this business with getting a custom server name here, apart from all of that, everything that I've described is included in the basic fees for Spinitron, the fees you're already paying. So and that therefore comes with support. So I'm here to get it working for you. I'm not going to do all the work for you because that would just be too much. But, we'll support your web developer, whoever it's going to be, through the process of getting skilled at this. Questions? If you want to raise it, can you unmute everybody, Ava? Is that a possibility? Is that something you know how to do?
We can unmute ourselves.
Okay, good. So who wants to ask a question? There are 40 of you. Come on. By the way,
I guess I haven't dinked into this before, so I was unclear on what is the change. Is it just having that configuration ability?
What do you mean the change? What's the new feature?
Yeah, is this just like, hey, this is a feature we've had all along, or is this a new thing?
Well, it was new in like 3 years ago.
Okay.
Like but it seems like nobody noticed.
There you go.
Let's do it. Let's do a tutorial.
So
the style sheet's been there since the Bronze Age, and the layout is what was introduced.
I'm wondering if you can show us. Oh, go ahead.
Can you go over again where you insert the iframe onto your page?
We're not inserting iframes now. Yes, this is actually something that I kind of just ignored altogether in the presentation, is how do you activate this once it's done, right? You don't have to make any changes on your website to get this page working, right? Okay, this page is broken, right? But this page, right? That's a Spinitron page. So all you need to do to actually introduce this, to publish this on your website, is link it.
I got you.
So in the case of KXCI, it might be, well, let's get rid of the page, not page equals, right? take that URL. That URL is maybe, if that's, I don't know, if that you want to replace that page or add something here, I think maybe add one like schedule might be nice. And then, so there's another link down here between these. You add a link, and the URL to that is that, and it would just navigate there.
Okay.
And you can actually, yeah. So, and again, you can turn it off if you've got something, like that. If you've already got a link to Spinitron, you can actually repurpose that one. Some stations have got, I think KXCI does actually. Recently played more streaming. No, that's not it. I think there's somewhere around. I think
If you go to, if you go to schedule and archive, I think it takes you. But what I don't like about any of this is that it takes people off of our website, and our SEO is really crappy. They come to our website and then they bounce to Spinitron.
yes, right. So that would be so you got two parts of that question. First of all, with this method we've fixed it so that it looks like your website. All right. But it's not your website. However, it might be as far as analytics is concerned.
Mm.
All right, because in your page layout, in the page layout that we copy pasted, there might well be already down here some Google tracker thing, that analytics thing that Google uses to track people across websites. They've got an analytics thing that you can use, and there are other versions of that aren't Google. There are ones that you can pay for, so that they're not actually using it for money. So there's that. But yes, you would not be logging Spinitron. You'd not be logging the Spinitron clicks, even if you use your own custom host name here. You're on Spinitron servers, so that is indeed a drawback. So if you want to do analytics, you can. There are ways to do that, and we can support you through that. It is going to a different website though. Oh, sorry, a different web server. That's a more technical correct way of putting it.
Can you redirect?
Yes.
Can you redirect if it's the basically the base web URL? Isn't there a way to redirect it back to our own?
There's no
station?
need. You can link to it. Here's a Spinitron page, right? Spinitron.com. And we click and we're back on KXCI. Because the page layout saved in Spinitron has got all your links in it. So they link directly to your website.
I don't think it quite has all the links is the problem. Is that
Well,
one of the problems?
That's part of the finishing. Once you're
Right.
satisfied with the page layout and the style sheet, once everything there is good and you're ready to try publishing it, then you put a link. Then you need to modify your own page layout. And there's a little trick here. This is kind of fun. You need to modify your own page layout so that you've got a link to spinitron.com on your page, or a link to your custom host name if we've set one of those up for you, and to your virtual host, that would be in Spinitron. Then once you've got that, then you can link to the Spinitron page, and your links are going to link back. But when you make a change to your page layout on your website, you should synchronize that change in here, okay? So that you've got the same stuff in the custom layout saved in Spinitron that you've got on your web pages.
Do you have any, is it still possible to do domain cloaking so that it looks like it's on your web page, even though it's on Spinitron?
I don't know what that is, sorry.
Oh, it's just basically rewriting the URL in the web bar.
I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, what we can do, let's show you what it's like for Ohm Radio. ohmradio.org. Do a web search. All right. ohmradio963.org. Okay. go to Programs, we go to Schedule. And we're in Spinitron, all right? And we can navigate back again. Now, the difference with the cloaking, if I understand what you said right, is that we would simply get rid of this part, right? Now, I'm already a little bit hesitant about this kind of stuff because it's a little deceptive, right? We are making Spinitron look like your website. We're doing that for branding reasons and for usability, so that it looks like your stuff and it, you know, the way it should do. But it's a hack. We're just making what's the right word? Spoofing, right? In a sense, we're spoofing. Sorry. This is a Spinitron page that's spoofed to look like Home Radio. And cloaking, if I understand right, would make the change that we wouldn't have this custom domain name there.
Right. It basically it lies about what page you're actually on. It makes it look like you're on the
I'm not
radio
sure.
station page.
I'm not sure it's worth it. But
That's
no,
what I
don't-
meant by redirect.
Okay.
And
But
redirect.
redirect is
Yeah.
something that has another meaning in
Yeah,
web, but-
you don't actually linger on a page that redirects. It's like you type in one address and you instantly go to another.
Yeah.
I think the cloaking tool, it was a feature from domain registration companies like GoDaddy, et cetera, where the entire web page would be contained inside an iframe. And so it would have your domain, but then your regular website would be like at Tripod or something. It was kind of from that era of
Okay.
websites.
I thought there was JavaScript that could do the same thing, although it seems like a good thing
it sounds like the sort of thing that might well not work anymore because browsers have been tidying up on the security.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
The old cloaking thing had to go away because it sort of broke Google and lots of stuff.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Tom, I love the disco ball effect you did with our player.
Sure thing.
But my question is, how do we bring that back?
Can I bring that back?
Can you hopefully have the code somewhere?
Yeah, of course. It's actually I saved in your. Oh, yeah, I got the code. It's in. You remember I mentioned that we got this thing in GitHub?
Yes.
Right. Let's see if I can type that in.
Great.
GitHub.com Spinitron. No, subparstack. That's not it. Spinitron.com and custom layout tutorial. It's in there.
Great, thank you. I love what you did with the site.
Right. So
hundreds of dollars of the web design work in there.
all right. Yes. Bring it on, baby. Come on.
Tom, if we get into this and try to get started and we can't do it, can we pay Spinitron to advise us or help us do it?
Maybe. I mean, honestly, I don't have. If I was to do something like that, it would be worth it for maybe if we start talking about a whole day, right? And I don't really feel able to offer everybody a whole day of my time at the moment. Maybe, but it is. I mean, if you know web, then you should be able to do this. And if you know web a bit and are willing to take the time to learn properly, then I will help. That's the teacher somebody to fish or whatever that was. Fool me twice, you won't fool me again, sort of thing.
Okay, we have a couple of questions.
Please. I'll repeat them or speak loud.
Okay, Bruce is asking, are the star classes used by Spinitron listed somewhere?
No, they're not. Sorry. You'll have to just do the just look at it. Oh, I don't have one ready. Yeah. Do what I do, which is the thing is, if I did that, then I would have to be maintaining another document that describes the web page. I don't know what has happened.
Next question. If you're using WordPress, can we still use all that what you demonstrated?
Absolutely. WordPress is fine, no problem. In fact, the KXCI is a good example of a WordPress site.
When we look at other people's web
Oh,
pages,
sorry, repeat the question. Yes. The first question, yes, I was supposed to do that. Second question was, does this work with WordPress? Yes, it does. No problems. It's exactly the same as everything I showed.
The next question.
The previous
Okay.
one was,
Okay. The previous one was, are the star classes used by Spinitron listed somewhere?
the style classes are not listed somewhere. You have to go and just look at the, use your developer tools to browse around and see what's there.
Next question was, if we are using WordPress, can we still use all that
Yes,
you
you can now.
demonstrated? Yes. Next question. Let's say we want to build it all ourselves. Does Spinitron have an API? Yes, we do.
Yes, Spinitron has an API. I'll type in the URL for that and copy it into the notes. V2 API, there it is. See that one?
Actually, Travis just typed it in. It's in the messages to everyone.
Thank you, Travis. It's in tools. Let's put that under tools, all right? No, let's put it up top. API. There. Save. I'll push it later, all right? So yes, we've got an API. You can get out of here, you can get the program schedule, or you can get shows enumerated forwards and through time selections. Playlists, same deal. Spins and DJs, or personas, as we call them here.
And by the way, since we have quite a few tools, the JavaScript widget, the now playing widget, the iframe API, and what Tom was demonstrating today, whatever you want to call that, there is no reason not to mix and match. I mean, you can have different parts of your website using different aspects of it. If you want to display the now playing, you would use different technology. Can you guys hear me at all?
Yes.
No, I could hear you.
Okay, okay. All right, cool.
I wasn't hearing
Yeah,
you twice.
all right.
Right, so here's an example of a web page. This is what we've used to try and communicate this technology in the past and have largely failed. But this is a web page that's got, you know, a home link. We've got a couple of links here. All of these links, well, not all of these links, all these links down at the bottom here are just go to the same page, right? It's a single page website. We've only got one page here. These two go to spinitron.com, and they're broken because I changed the layout and I changed the style sheet for the demo, right? I can easily change that back again. But I've also got a hamburger menu on the side here. See that? I'll do that again. See that hamburger? Click on that. And here I've got some more links to Spinitron. And if we look at carefully at what these are, so I got programs.testradio.org, which is the custom host name, which I'm discouraging people from using because it's too much work. But you can do that if you want, seriously. And then I've got a DJ page, right? So this is just a link to a Spinitron web page, but I've activated the custom layout by adding layout equals 1. And if I navigate to another page, the layout equals 1 is copied across and the link's there too. Okay. So that's an example, and I can mix and match. I've got a widget here. I haven't actually tested this today. See if these links work. That doesn't have any links in it. Okay, but I've got this link to see more, right? And I've got a links. Yes, that does work. Good. And you know, I can have these things popped open. Let's go and make the change, so you can see that. Let's say make sure I'm on test. All right, so I go to station settings, web customization to get this form. And I'll copy my testradio.org stuff back for test, which is what I should do anyway at the end of this tutorial. Testradio.org HTML, paste that in there, save changes. No, customize, here we go. All right, so now I've got widget stuff. Sorry, yeah. Why is that widgets? I don't know. It just is. All right, so I've got spinitron.com like this, and I can navigate back to testradio.org. Now, if I click forwards to see the home page, the Spinitron landing page for Test Radio, That's what that looks like. I can match the sizes by getting rid of the zoom or adding an appropriate amount of zoom. I can navigate to the program schedule, and I can navigate back to the radio station homepage. So in a sense, this is basically saying this is an alternative to iframes, right? It's an alternative that I think has these superior properties that the page lays out properly and not just in a fixed size box. And if you were to navigate away from either a Spinitron page or one of your pages, then the browser is going to behave like a normal web browser in the way that people expect. So I think it's like iframes, but better. Use this instead of iframes.
So is it
iframes are fine.
CSS?
If your iframe is working for you, then continue using it. There's really nothing wrong with iframes. It just has those limitations I mentioned. So go ahead.
So if we're familiar with old HTML and we were able to do that in the early days of websites, with a little bit of study, we should be able to get this into our heads.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So there's a couple of things that make this difficult. First of all, it's this magic trick that I showed you of copy pasting a page layout is that definitely is a little jarring at first until you get used to it. And I still find it disorienting. That's affected me at least once in this, probably several times already in this tutorial. But so that's a little bit jarring, but it's not fundamentally complex. It's just something to get used to. And the other part of it is all the hacking of the CSS. There's, as I said, there's some other little advanced topics that some of you, not all, some of you are going to have to deal with this topic of, no, got to go further. This topic right here, absolute and relative URLs. If you've got relative URLs in your page layout, when we need to do a bit more work, it's not necessarily hard, but it is more, and it's a little bit of extra learning.
Can you just define?
That's it.
I'm sorry, you said we had some. Can you define what that is? The absolute / relative.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
All right. So for this, I'm going to go to wet socks.
Sorry.
Is that wrong?
Yeah, that's her station.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll go to wet socks. Now, let's look at the page source here, because for one thing, I want to say, I love this website. It's old school, and I love old school. I think it's beautiful, right? Look at the colors on this page. I love it. This is all that corporate, modern, newfangled stuff is just, yeah, you know, it also seems like, I don't know, stuff. Anyway, so this is old school. We're doing layouts with tables and everything. Strings of NBSPs. If you were programming web in the 90s, this is what it was like, and this is what you had to do. But it still works fine, right? It works. Web browsers can display these pages with no trouble at all. So in this page, we notice some of the links are relative URLs. You see, that's a relative URL. It doesn't say http artxfm.com on it. It could do, and that would probably still work. You could just sort of like copy paste the right part into there, and that link will work exactly the same. But you don't. That's a relative URL. You don't have to have that. What that's going to do is the browser is going to append that to that part. All right, it's going to take whatever web page you're currently looking at and paste that part on the end of there, and that's what the effective link is going to be. I would take one of these links. I don't know which one that was, but let's say it's one of these images. All right, let's see if we can see that. There's a good example, right? So there's an image, and that's going to go to, I think, if we follow that, open image in a new tab. Right. So that's just in the main, the top level of this website, and that's how a relative URL works. Now, if I copy paste this page and make a custom layout in Spinitron for that, then that link is going to break. And I can fix that in one of two ways. One of them is I can take the custom layout, which I've actually got one of those that I prepared earlier. Custom layout. That's it, custom layout. Thank you. Right, so here's the one that I prepared earlier. And what I did was I added this tag here. Can you see that? This one right here. All right. And that is a tag that tells the browser to modify all of the relative URLs using that URL instead of whatever it would otherwise have used. So that's one technique. The other technique is I simply change all of these in the page layout. I mean, I can find all the source equals, look at those, right? One at a time. You just find those, and the ones that aren't already absolute, I can just change them in the page layout. It's a bit more work that way, but it works exactly the same. It's just fine. Both techniques work fine.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
One last question. Okay, sorry. That someone is asking, Bruce is asking, I assume this can also be done with APIs, and suggesting having an API seminar or webinar. We'll be happy to put that together if there are people interested. Yes, thank you for the suggestion.
Yes, this is our first webinar like this it's not webinar. This is our first tutorial that we've done like this ever. And I am quite surprised that there are 40 people showed up for it. Anyway, that's great. Thank you for showing up indeed. But yes, we can do more of these. Why not? It takes some time to prepare for them, but we can manage something, maybe one a month or something like that. I don't know. We'll put it together. If you want to make suggestions like that, what you can do is put them on our forum. Did you know I have a forum? Somewhere I've got to have a Spinitron page. On all the Spinitron pages that have a navigation bar at the top, it's got a link to the forum. And some of you are already using this, I know. And those that aren't, why not get signed up? You do actually need to create a new login here. We don't have it set up so that you can just use your Spinitron login that you've already logged into already. But once you're in there, we can have conversations on stuff. One conversation I'm trying to have is about a new widget that's a bit like the Now Playing widget, but that reverts to something else if you don't have a song playing at the moment. We've got to spec that out and implement it. So there's conversation going there on that, for example. There's a whole bunch of conversations there. But these are public conversations. So if you've got a question that you want, that you don't feel needs to be in a private email, you can put it on the forum. For example, a suggestion for another tutorial or meeting like this. Yes, we have an API. So if you want to, you can do anything with the API pretty much that could be done with our data. It was designed to give access to all this public data in Spinitron. Anything that you can get on a, oh goodness, I'm so flustered. So test, right? Test. God, I can't type. Right? So anything you can access from a page like this, like program schedule, show pages, DJ pages, and playlists, that's available. That data is available here, and it comes back to you in JSON format. We got any examples? Yeah, there's an example. So if you're used to programming, it's like having access to our database, except you don't get to write your own queries. You have to use one of ours. Anyone else, or should we wrap up?
Any more questions? Otherwise, we will let you go and enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you very much for joining us. Any questions that you can come up with? Oh, there's one more. Easy to RB is asking.
Easy to add.
Easy to add into modern website solutions like Squarespace.
I'm gonna say yes. I haven't tried Squarespace, but I don't see why not. I mean, all we're doing is stealing a web page, carving a chunk out of it to spoof the look of that web page. So I don't see why not.
As I said, any questions, please don't hesitate. I will be happy to chat with you or email with you, whichever is easier for you. My phone number is 617-233-3115. It's on our website, and most of you already knows it because we engaged one way or another earlier. It's also on our website. And if you have any questions that I can't answer, I will be happy to forward it to Tom.
I just thought of one thing that I think is worth a minute. One last point about the forum. If you want to, if you know a web developer that's done a good job for this that wants extra work, feel free to use the forum to advertise that person. If you want to ask other forum users about web developers, feel free to use that. I can't offer one because I don't. I mean, Razorfrog did KCSB's thing way back. They may have done more stations than that. Can't remember exactly right now. And they did great work. There's Travis is on this call right here. Does web work.
Thanks, Tom.
I just don't know anyone. So feel free to use the forum to communicate your, any references you may have.
Thank you, Tom. This has been really helpful. I'm looking forward to copying some of this code and really like what you did with our website. So thank you so much for that.
I like what you did with your website. I'm not kidding. All right.
Okay, the last question was recording will be coming up. We don't know exactly where we are going to host it, but the link to it will be definitely available on the forum, probably on Facebook, and probably also inside of Spinitron in the help. When you log into Spinitron, you can see a little helper.
Sorry, it's gone already.
Never mind. There's the help. Yep.
It may end up there. Yes, it might.
Yeah.
No, it probably won't. Well, it might if I do some extra homework. All right. But we will definitely put a link to it on the. Oh God, what did I do? I'm flustered, aren't I? Right. See, this web page that you already used in order to find the information about this meeting, we'll have it tacked on at the bottom here, the video. Okay. And the other stuff that I've got for you.
Tom, I have to thank you for the updates on the mobile player. That's been fantastic. I just have to, before
Yeah, it's working better now, it seems. Or at least I'm getting fewer complaints. It was really, I was sweating bullets for a couple of weeks there over Christmas. And it was broken. Oh, it's horrible.
Great to see you both. Thank you so much.
We're not done. We're not done with the archive. There's some more fixes coming soon, but we needed to get some other work done in the meantime.
All right. Thanks for everyone again, and see you soon. And if you can suggest any topics, we will make it more frequent, these tutorials. All right.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.